What the hell's happening to all the listings? Like, I get seasonal pullback, but this is crazy. We're pulling back seriously right now to the point where, like, we might even be in a seller's market now. Just kidding. We're not in a seller's market now, and we probably won't be in an aggressive seller's market for a little while. However, if you've been following the real estate raccoons over here and you watched last week's video, you would know how important it is to keep an eye on supply. And when it's been pulling back this aggressively, you got to give it some attention. But then also you got to layer in the fact that the holidays are here, and normally this is what happens. People generally don't like to be on the market over the holidays, so they won't be. Now, the big question is, how many of those people that didn't sell but pulled their properties off the market, how many of those people absolutely need to come back to market in January, which is when most people will just start to list as we approach the spring market that people love to talk about. In my opinion, based on the delinquency rates as of September, which is the most recent available data from the CMHC database, Toronto and Ontario in general is still in pretty good shape when you consider how many mortgages exist here. And the latest number is 0.16 of all of those mortgages are in some sort of at least 30-day default position, compared to the country average, which is much higher than that. Granted, we did increase from 0.6 to 0.16, which is a massive increase when you look at the actual number. But when you put that into context with how many mortgages exist in Ontario and in Canada in general, it's still a relatively small number, to the tune of just over 2,000 or so mortgages in the entire province of Ontario. I'll link the actual post in the description below so you can look for yourself. So when you look at it that way, I'm not seeing too many people or enough people in a panic position where we're going to see a massive flood of listings in January. Of course, I've eaten my words before, and I don't like to predict things anymore, but anything can happen. But nothing in front of me right now indicates that is a likely reality of January and the rest of the winter. So what we should probably see instead, but I guess before getting into that, you should probably know who I am if you've never seen this before. I'm Ara Memorian. I run the Spring Team here in Toronto. We have an office in Hamilton, Peterborough, Victoria, British Columbia as well. So if you're an agent in those places, I'd love to talk to you. We do a lot of great things out there, and I'd like to do that with you. So, and we've had this blog here, the Real Estate Raccoons, on YouTube since 2020, March of 2020. That's when you see week 197. I mean, it's 197 weeks from ground zero, essentially, which was March of 2020 when COVID started. Another rule we have here on this channel is we don't really compare what's going on now to the peak of the market. It's kind of like comparing the worst of times to the best of times and coming out with some sort of usually incorrect prediction or incorrect assessment of the state of the market today. So what we do like to focus on is more realistic timelines, more realistic periods, and looking forward. So, a lot of times we talk about the bottom of the market being the fourth quarter of 2022. And in some cases, that is true. In some cases, that's not. It's true in more cases than it is not. But since I went off on this tangent, I forgot what we were talking about in the first place. Oh yeah, I remember. We were talking about the winter and what that's going to look like, and supply and all that stuff. So yeah, like I was saying, I really don't see a scenario where we have enough people that are in panic sell mode or in underwater to the point where they absolutely have to sell, or a sale is forced. I don't see a winter or spring like that. But this is not to say that there isn't a massive increase in the number of power of sale properties out there. Definitely there are. I really think this winter and into the spring is going to be a lot more balanced. I think in some cases it's going to be very much in favor of the seller, depending on the street and the neighborhood. And I think in some cases they'll be in favor of the buyer. I don't see any product type kind of reacting differently right now. Both condos and houses are pulling back aggressively with supply. Sales numbers have maintained despite the lack of inventory, despite the fact that we're heading into the holiday season. Like we normally would see a drop off in supply, which is what we're seeing, a little bit more aggressive than usual. But we're not seeing a change in sales numbers too much in terms of the number of people that are actually out there buying. And again, we're not comparing this to the absolute top of the market because there's no point in doing that. But when you look after that, the way the market's normalized, that's kind of where we're at. So people are still out there spending money with those pre-approvals that are better than they were last month, most likely. Because we had a long conversation, I think, at some point, maybe a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, about the positive news out there. So we've got interest rates holding as far as the Bank of Canada is concerned. But one thing that people aren't talking about or really paying a lot of attention to is the fact that that Bank of Canada announcement is really just talking about variable rates, right? Because fixed rates are affected by an entirely different market altogether, the bond market, that longer term investment kind of money, that safer money. That's what funds fixed mortgages, and that's been coming down. For the first time, like we said last week, 4.99% 5-year fixed on a CMHC insured mortgage is a pretty damn good number, which we haven't seen in a while. So, another thing to understand along those lines is that rates aren't going to be 2021 cheap again. You know what I mean? Like, that was a special time that needed a special type of stimulus, which again is what caused our inflationary issues today. It's not Justin Trudeau. Like, anybody that was in government would have had to do the same things, resulting in the same situation that we're in now. So you can't really shake your fist at any level of government here. Of course, there are things that could have been done differently, maybe. I don't know. Everybody has an opinion, it seems. But overall, this is just, us humans just being humans. We're companies being greedy when they're given the opportunity to be greedy, and humans going out and spending and spending and spending when money is practically free. It's just what will always happen, and I don't think that's going to change. And we will probably see another cycle like this at some point in the future, but I don't see anything like that in the near future. So when we're looking at what's happening out there right now, I'm seeing listings pulling back, and they were pulling back even before the holiday pressure. So that's a sign to me that it was something that's happening that's not necessarily just related to the holidays. And sales numbers have been consistent, and numbers haven't varied too much. So looking at the urban communities, the bottom of the market is still the fourth quarter of 2022. Looking at other communities, mostly communities that aren't really tracked in the suburbs and rural areas, those neighborhoods are well below the 2022 fourth quarter numbers. So at the end of the day, there's really much less drama out there than some people would lead you to believe. The market's way healthier than some people would lead you to believe. And there's a lot of interesting things that you can do out there to help pad your real estate portfolio or to thin out your real estate portfolio and, walk away a pretty happy person right now. So anyway, the best way to support the things that I'm doing here is just to subscribe below, leave a comment, like whatever you can do to help spread the word here would be amazing. I'm going to see you in week 198 next week. And, if you're a subscriber, I'm going to start giving some prizes of some sort down the road. And somebody maybe can tell me how to do that. I'd like to make it rain a little bit in the coming months. And if you are around this Saturday, the Spring Team will be at the Winter Market at 388 Carlaw Avenue. We're giving away cute little raccoon planters and all kinds of fun things over there. So send me a message and I'll send you a coupon code for a free ticket to that. It's going to be an awesome market in Leslieville. See you at TheSpringTeam.ca/blog, and see you in week 198. And don't forget, work hard, be kind. Let's go.